Have you ever been in a situation where you had an inheritance coming and maybe it had real estate, a bunch of different types of accounts and different types of investments in there, and you were wondering what is the best way to sort through that to try to minimize as much taxes as possible and also make sure you're maximizing it for your situation? You're going to enjoy this video as we answer a viewer question on just that. Hello everyone, I'm Logan Sadler. Thanks for stopping by the Financial Beat. I am the host of this channel, and for those of you that are just stopping by for the first time, make sure you click subscribe and like the video. This channel is really all about retirement education. I am a financial advisor that helps people plan and prepare for retirement. And on this channel, we're just here to talk about some good general education to bring here to you, the viewer. So again, thanks for stopping by. Today, I wanted to talk about a question that we get quite frequently. Again, it doesn't happen every single day, but we do deal with this question a lot and help people through this. So I thought it'd be a good time to share and talk about it. It is a question I got from one of our viewers on our radio show, and I didn't have time to answer on last week's show. So I thought today would be a good time to bring this to you. So I'll read the question here. And basically it says, it's from Barbara, and she said that I had just inherited some assets from my mom, and there's several different types of accounts. There's an IRA, an annuity, a bank account, her home that I'll probably eventually sell, and some AT&T stock that she's had for many years. How do I determine what I'm going to owe taxes on all this inheritance, and where do I start? Okay, so for those of you out there that may have went through this situation or are in this situation now, or it's something coming up, it's definitely something you want to make sure you're planning for. Again, there's several different ways to go about this. Number one thing I would do is hire a good financial advisor, especially if you're not somebody that is super savvy with investments. Each of these have different pros and cons, different tax structure. So the first two things I would do, one, a good financial advisor that understands a lot of this, as well as I would hire a CPA or tax person to help loop into this, because a lot of this is going to depend on your situation. I say that all the time on this video and on the radio show, because everybody is so unique, right? We all have different goals, different dreams, but in this situation particularly, we have a lot of different future taxes that could be done on this based off income and things like that. So let's dive in here to a few of these, Barbara. First off, you have several different types of accounts that basically are all taxed a little bit differently, right? Let's start first off with the IRAs, right? So if they're traditional IRAs, we actually have what is called the 10-year rule. For a lot of you that don't know, we've talked about this in some of our videos, that money is 100% taxable, right, if it's in a traditional IRA, and you have 10 years to take that out. The IRAs are taxed at ordinary income, so you want to make sure you're working with, again, a good CPA or a tax person and a financial advisor to help kind of mitigate how to get the money from one bucket over into your bucket as the inheritance, to where you're not owing as much in taxes and doing things and mitigating a lot of those tax risks that you're going to have. So number one, IRAs are typically 100% taxable when left behind, unless we're talking about a Roth IRA. So then we have the annuities, right? Depending on what type of an annuity it is and what type of account type it is, whether it's an IRA or whatnot, I'm going to assume in this case it's not an IRA, meaning let's say mom just put money in there as cash into the annuity. Any growth on those annuities that are, again, not IRAs, just traditional non-qualified annuities, any growth on those annuities is typically taxed at ordinary income. The principal mom put in would not be taxed, just the interest earned. So you have some work to do there to find out what the cost basis is on that annuity, right? And again, every annuity company has different types of payout structures, lump sum, deferred payouts. You could assume the contracts. There's a lot of different ways you want to structure that. That's why I was saying making sure you're someone that either understands finances a lot or working with a good planner that could help throughout all the different options and work through that, as well as the tax structure. Then you also said you had, bank accounts and things like that, as well as the house. So bank accounts, traditionally, they're not earning interest, right? Unless you have it in some type of CD or things like that. But I'm assuming in this example, it's just cash. So if you have just cash, a lot of that will come over with no taxes on it, depending on, again, how it's structured. But again, good CPA will be able to walk you through that. The cash shouldn't be too big of a deal, as well as, looking at the home, right? The home, a lot of people don't know if titled properly and the trust, everything was good to go, you can get stepped up value on the home. So that's where you're going to want to work with a CPA, and they can help you get an appraisal on things. You could evaluate the date of death. If you decided to sell that down the road, you would only pay, your cost basis would be date of death when mom passed away and when you inherited it. So essentially, let's say mom paid $200,000 for the house, and now it's worth $400,000, right? When mom passes away, you would inherit it at that $400,000 stepped up in basis. Okay, so again, a lot of tricks there to make sure you're understanding things properly. There could be a very good, real estate could be a good asset class as well as stocks to pass on to heirs, again, using the cost basis because of how they work using the stepped up in basis. So again, that's another thing you're gonna wanna run through there. And as well as the AT&T stock, was it IRA, 401k money, or was it just cash you bought? Because if it was just cash, again, if titled properly, everything was good to go there, you would essentially get some sort of stepped up in basis on that stock. So as you can see here, there's a lot of different ways that assets can be taxed, not taxed, deferred, or using a step up in basis. There is a lot of different ways that all of this could work. So I would tell anybody out there, even if you're someone that maybe understands finance as well, maybe you manage your 401k or IRA and you feel comfortable in that realm, it's very important when something like this happens, when you're inheriting assets, you wanna make sure when that happens, you want to make sure you're sitting down with somebody. It could be even from your husband or wife. Maybe you're not as comfortable, as well as maybe it's a parent, aunt, uncle, somebody leaving money behind to you. You want to make sure you're sitting down, getting a team around you, and making sure you understand how all of these different assets could be taxed. What's the best way to maximize it for your situation? Because I always say what your neighbor did with his inheritance might be totally different than what you should be doing, depending on what your situation is, income, taxation, assets, all of that stuff. So making sure you're really taking a deep dive. And I think in this question, I loved about it, why I wanted to do it on the show here, was basically because to show you that there's several different ways that things pass on. We tell a lot of our clients some assets are better to leave behind as a legacy and some aren't. So again, just a really good way to, not that they're not good to leave behind, but there's different tax implications on that. So again, great video, I thought, on a great question, I should say, on a lot of that conversation that you should be having. First off, again, hire the correct team, maybe get an attorney involved that does the estate plan to make sure you can go through the living trust if there's one. A CPA and a financial advisor should be able to plug all of that in and really help maximize it for your situation. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be back here again next week with another video. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and click subscribe. And again, we'll see you back here next week.